Crash into me, Miles, baby. Man, that really hurts.
Hey, Weekly Pulse on all things green and gold with the three-time Wisconsin Sportswriter of the Year, Jason Wilde. I'm Alex Strouf from ESPN. Wisconsin ahead of Packers Bengals coming up Sunday afternoon at Lambeau Field. Almost said Saturday, but we don't really talk about the team that plays on Saturdays in this state these days. It's Packers Bengals coming off their bye week. It'll be the second time in 3 games the Packers see Joe Flacco quarterbacking the other team after the Bengals acquired Joe Flacco earlier in the week from the Browns via trade. Lots to get into, including some players returning to practice after the bye week. Joe Flacco quarterbacking the other side, and obviously the Packers getting back to business here in week 6 of the NFL season. But all that aside, Jason, how are you?
Well, that was a long soliloquy. I guess I could have kept eating my cinnamon toast.
A whole 44 seconds.
That's a lot from you.
On this program, yeah, it is.
Not just on this program, from what I understand. So I would say this. Matt LaFleur did not seem to be enjoying the Joe Flacco conversation at all. He's kind of like, and then he got into I don't really care that Sean Clifford is over there giving them our secrets. Like, I don't know. I'm curious how this plays out because.
Hold on, let me cut you off. Because are you saying he had like a little bit of an edge?
Yeah, I thought he seemed a little annoyed yesterday. I mean, I was here. I wasn't in the room. Usually when he's annoyed, I'm usually the one causing it. Yeah. But I don't know. He just seemed annoyed. And the question I found myself asking was, having prepped for Joe Flacco once already, but him playing in that system with those players previously, if he's irritated because now he's like, okay, we were going to steamroll these dudes with that Jake Browning fella throwing a pick parade. Now, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for him to throw to, Joe Flacco might be pretty productive. That's a total hypothesis. That's a total theory. I have no idea. Maybe he ate a bad egg or something for breakfast, but he just seemed a little irritable yesterday, and I had nothing to do with it for once.
Good for you. Me and Matt LaFleur can relate on that particular issue. Now, I guess could he just be irritated he had to throw out the game plan?
No, I mean, his game plan doesn't change on the offensive side, right? And look, the guy that coaches the defense is good at his job.
Yes,
I know it didn't seem like that in the Cowboys game, but he is. And so I'm not, that's a total shot in the dark. Again, I don't know. Sure. But the thing about Joe Flacco is that even with only 3 days of practice in a new system, he's probably going to be an upgrade. Hard to see him being a downgrade over what Jake Browning has done. And Jake Browning, I think this is the most surprising thing to me. Like the last time that Joe Burrow missed time, he actually played pretty well.
He was good, yeah.
And now, not so much. So I'll be curious to see what Joe Flacco does. But yeah, that storyline was of minimal interest to him yesterday, it appeared.
Interesting. It's of I wouldn't say significant interest to me, but it's of interest. It's an intriguing storyline. I think he's looking to become the second quarterback in NFL history to record 2 wins over the same team in the same NFL season while quarterbacking 2 different teams.
Yeah, Chris Larson had looked something up during Homer's show. Maybe it was just that Chris Chandler faced the same team with 2 different teams in 1991, but maybe they didn't win both games. I think he was with Tampa and Atlanta or something like that. But yeah, Jack Kemp. I think that was AFL. So I don't think it's ever happened really in the NFL.
Yeah, it was in 1962, so you might be right about that. Played for the San Diego Chargers and the Buffalo Bills, defeating the New York Titans both times.
Tough matchup for the Titans.
The New York Titans. Yeah, apparently. There you go. Jack Kemp.
Presidential. He ran for president.
Did he really?
Yeah, long before you were born, I'm sure.
Well, if he's quarterbacking football teams in 1962, he's got about 36 years until I'm born.
There you go.
I assume he. Well, I don't assume. I know he didn't win, but who did he lose to? Do you know?
You are. First of all, you're correct. He
Yeah.
he did
I,
not win because
I
you
would
would have
know if he
heard of
won. Yeah.
President Jack Kemp. He lost. Let me get you that information just to confirm. He was not even the nominee for the Democratic Party. He ran in
I lost
1988.
to Bill Clinton, who was the nominee that year. There you go. Interesting. Was in the U.S. House of Representatives for 18 years. Wow. I didn't know this about Jack Kemp.
And he beat the New York Titans twice in one season.
Twice in one season while playing for the Chargers and Bills. Fascinating. Okay, anyway, let's talk more Packers now. Christian Watson's back in practice. That's good.
He is not running for president, but he could,
At least
at least
as
in
of
that
now.
locker room.
He's not 35 yet.
Given his popularity. Yeah, look, there has been a jolt of energy. I think I told KBN this earlier in the week. Like, you could just, on Monday, he is really, like, look, there are teammates that you tolerate. There are teammates that you like. There are teammates that you don't like. And then there are teammates that you love. And he seems to be one of those guys. Like, there was just such a buzz on Monday. And no disrespect to Jacob Monk, who also started practicing after his 4 weeks on IR. Nobody was like, woo, Monkey, let's go. But they were really excited about Christian Watson. So I don't, the question I keep getting from everybody is he going to play this week? I hope not.
Why not?
Because I feel like that's, like, he's already broken land speed records of coming back, right? What's one more week? And if the argument is we'd like to have him come back at home, he tore his ACL at home. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's some sort of safer surface. It was a fluke thing. So it's great. Let him ramp up. The reason why it's a 21-day practice window and not a 5-day practice window is so you can do that. So again, I'm not a doctor. Maybe if he's ready, he's ready. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I feel like letting him ease into it a little bit more. And then once he does start playing, having him on a pitch count, I just think, I think back to Rashawn Gary, who got back pretty fast from his ACL. And I think you could argue he hasn't really been the same since. Now, I don't know how much of that is just him not being, on top of his game, and how much of that is the injury, and how much it, stunted his growth as a player. But, he's got 4.5 sacks this year. That's really good. But I think even Rashawn would say I have not dominated to the level that I would like to, because I think I'm capable of that. And I wonder if that knee injury never happens, and if they slow his roll a little bit, if it's different.
Yeah, I agree. They need to acquire Micah Parsons to really make him a huge difference maker, which he was through the first 3 weeks. A little bit quiet at Dallas in that tie 2 weeks ago, but 4.5 sacks so far in the season for Rashawn Gary, which is a very good pace entering only your 5th game in the 6th week of the NFL season. Seems as if the offensive line could be healthier come Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, that's not a face of optimism necessarily.
Yeah, today's a really big day. I know we're recording this Thursday morning, and you released it out into the world later today. By Thursday night, we'll have a little bit better idea. I'm talking to Zach Tom today after practice, come hell or high water. I left him alone yesterday. I talked to him on Monday. Again, you can't have a repeat of what you had in Cleveland. Bingo. You just can't. So, the plan yesterday was that he was going to take on some bull rushes from, a Lucas Van Ness or a Micah Parsons, because he didn't do that going into Cleveland. And then when Myles Garrett crashed into him, like the Dave Matthews Band, Crash into me, Miles, baby. Man, that really hurts. And then he went out of the game. I don't know if you knew those were the lyrics to that song. That's an older song for you. Um, you can't have that happen again. And so he said the pain was better on Monday. He also admitted that he was blocking against air, which does not hit back as hard. So as Trey Hendrickson, for example. So I'm not sure about that. And then we talked to Aaron Banks for quite a while yesterday, and like he said something. His phrasing was weird. He said, "I'm making the most of the snaps that I'm getting in practice." That's the face I made, because that sounds to me like maybe he's working back in and doing some, like, I don't know, scout team stuff. And I never got the chance to follow up, and I'm curious to know if they're working him back in, but not planning on him playing either. Because look, Jordan Morgan needs those reps. Like, the last thing you want to do to Jordan Morgan is have Aaron Banks take a bunch of reps and then he's not able to go with that groin injury. And now he hasn't got enough work to get ready. Because I think when Jordan Morgan has had a week to prepare at a position, he's been okay. But when he's thrown in and then plays two positions in the same game, that's when things get a little ugly.
What's up with Rasheed Walker? Was limited Wednesday at practice with a quadriceps injury.
He's got quadriceps injury. Look, they had 14 guys on their practice.
You're on your A game today.
Thanks. I thought the singing was good. Look, they've got 14 guys on their injury list. Only 2 of them didn't practice at all, though, which I think that number is just as important, right? Anthony Belton won't be back. Devontae Wyatt is. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but when Matt LaFleur calls it week to week, he ain't back this week.
Yeah, not a great sign.
So, and again, I don't think there's, everybody wants to draw a direct causal link to he leaves the Cowboys game, the Cowboys score 5 touchdowns in 6 possessions. Do I think his absence hurt?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do I think his absence was the sole reason that they scored 5 touchdowns in their next 6 possessions? I do not.
Unlikely, yes. Yeah, okay, interesting. So injuries across the board. Who else should we be worried about? Devontae Wyatt, you mentioned. Kingsley Enagbare and Nate Hobbs, both questionable as well. Imagine both of those guys were limited Wednesday as well. That's a lengthy injury report.
Well, Hobbs is in a concussion protocol. So the fact that he was limited is probably actually a good thing, right? Yeah, okay. I don't know. What do you think of this hat?
I like the hat. I think you should
I like the color scheme. I don't like the fit.
Okay.
Feels weird.
I can break up my lids expertise if you need.
I know you have. I know you were a lids. Were you a manager of that store?
I was never a manager. No.
Okay, just very knowledgeable.
I was also 17, so it's probably a good thing I wasn't managing people. Yeah.
You're too honest of a person. I wouldn't have been concerned about the counts and the inventory being off if you were in charge. Are you a hat guy?
Yeah, less these days because I finally got my hair at a point where I like it. But like you may remember in May, I shaved my head completely bald.
I do remember that.
So I was a big hat guy for a while. Yeah, there's an old episode of an off-season Weekly Wilde where I had just shaved my head and I was not wearing a hat, and it pops up every once in a while. It's a jump scare for sure.
Okay, well, your hair looks great today. I haven't showered yet, so that's why I'm wearing a hat.
Gotcha. I have.
The difference between you and me. I think the big story that we're missing here, and we touched on it a little bit with Flacco, but the focus was Flacco.
Yeah.
They've got the best wide receiver tandem in the league. And if Joe Burrow doesn't hurt his toe, they're probably lighting it up. And we're talking about, holy crap, the 5-1 Bengals are coming in here to take on a team that's 2-1-1 and has played some of its worst football in the previous 2 games before the bye week. But because Joe Burrow is, got turf toe and had surgery, again, I know I am. I don't play on the team, but I'm kind of taking this lightly. And maybe we shouldn't, because now they got a guy that might be able to get the ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins more effectively than Jake Browning Nagel has. And that is going to be a challenge even if you do have Nate Hobbs, because I'm not sure how great Nate Hobbs has played when he's played. Our guy Carrington Valentine had a very tough night in Dallas.
Wasn't a great night for him, no. Didn't play a
So
ton until the end, but it was not good when he was on the field.
right. So to me, and I was going to hopefully talk to some of those guys today, because to me that's a scary proposition. Now I still think I don't care who's quarterbacking them. If it's not Joe Burrow, I don't care if Sean Clifford comes in at the end. They should win this game. They're back at home. They have all kinds of motivation. They need to get right. And this is the kind of game you do it. But if there's a path to victory for the Cincinnati Bengals, it's Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco. Why'd they have to pick up another Joe?
Yeah, it's confusing. Jake, Joe, and Joe.
It's Joe Flacco slinging it all over the yard to two of the best guys in the business at the wide receiver position.
So it's a good point by you. I was going to bring this up, and
sure you were.
Yeah, I was. And I guess the thing that concerns me, or doesn't concern me rather, is they still don't really have a great offensive line, and the Packers,
no, they're terrible. Yep.
The Packers allegedly should have a very good pass rush. Didn't look that way in Dallas a ton, but in this game, back at home, to your point, this is a game you need to get the Micah Parsons, the LVNs, the Rashawn Garys of the world going, and hopefully Joe Flacco just doesn't have time, period, to throw it all over the backyard, as you just said, to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Now, let's say he does have time. If we think back to 5-6 weeks ago, prior to game one against Detroit, 6-7 weeks ago, before that game against Detroit, if you and I were to say, hey, the one position group that worries me most is blank, your answer would have been what?
Yeah, probably corner.
It would have been my answer. And I think in that Dallas game, we found out why that was our answer for the first time this season. 6-7 weeks ago, when we looked at the schedule, I think we circled this one as that's going to be a points fest, points-a-palooza at Lambeau Field. I believe I dubbed it the highest scoring game in the NFL this season prior to Joe Burrow's injury. Don't know if that will be the case with Joe Flacco. So those are two guys that can wreck games without a doubt. And that would be my one area of concern for Sunday as a Packers fan is Jamar Chase and T. Higgins can wreck a game.
Yeah, and it's interesting because one of the stories that I'm working on is another one where I don't have a good answer for it. Kind of like you guys emphasize the what out of takeaways, and yet you only have two. Like I don't usually do this, but I asked three people the same question exactly the same way.
Ooh,
I got essentially the same answer,
which
it was Rashawn Gary, Xavier McKinney, and Evan Williams. And I said, so if there's one thing I've learned covering the NFL, it's the old adage, you get what you emphasize. And it rings true. Ask any coach. There's no way anybody emphasizes takeaways more than you guys. There may be teams that emphasize it as much, but you guys installed a siren in your defensive meeting room for it. And yet, you're not getting what you emphasize. You have two takeaways and 0 fumbles. Why? I don't know. I wrote about it at channel3000.com. None of them could answer it. Matt LaFleur even gave me, that was when Matt LaFleur gave me that's a great question, Jason. No, it's not. It's just you don't have the answer. And so, and I would say this, and Evan Williams actually said the quiet part out loud on this. Like, they're kind of bummed that Jake Browning got benched.
Yeah, because he was giving a lot of free ones.
Interceptions in 3.5 games. So they were like, woo, come on, Jakey. And now, they got the one pick they got on Flacco in Cleveland was basically a punt at the end of the half.
It was an arm punt. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, it's something we spent a lot of time talking about in the month of August, was this whole ball king persona and the idea that this team, the defense was beating up the offense in training camp. And that's how this whole thing exploded, and it became one of, your and many other of our favorite beat writers' favorite story to write about, because it is a great story, except it hasn't translated to the regular season, which is just slightly confusing. But maybe this is, again, it's hard to evaluate an NFL team in the month of September fully because they had what we thought were two really good wins at Lambeau Field. They had a bad loss on the road, and they had a weird tie, also probably a bad tie on the road before their bye week. If their bye week to get healthy, we don't know how healthy they'll be as of recording. It's 8:43 a.m. on Thursday. I'm just when it comes to this team overall, Sunday's big because I'm still scratching my head at exactly what their identity is. Because this whole ball king thing, I think if I asked you what their identity could be in August, it's a good defense who's going to get a lot of takeaways and an offense who's all around, the cabinets are stocked, right? Jordan Love's good. Josh Jacobs is good. They have good receivers. They have good tight ends. They have a good offensive line. That's what I thought this identity would be. It hasn't been the case through 4 games.
No, and I was talking to Josh Jacobs on Wednesday, and I said, because he had told us it takes 3 to 4 games, not 6, 7, to get the running game going. And I said, okay, is it possible that it happened after 3.5 games? Because he had 14 carries for 70 yards in the second half against Dallas. Emmanuel Wilson got going too. I was basically like, did you discover something there? And, he doesn't know that either. Like, he feels like they ran the ball effectively, which they had not done to that point. But, again, I don't know if this has gone according to any of Matt LaFleur's plan, right? Like, even the way they won their first 2 games. And he said it a couple of times now. I don't think we've put together a 4 quarters game of complimentary football. And they had some offensive lulls in both those games. They scored 27 points. But, they got a lot of yards in the downfield passing game, right? I mean, Jordan missed on some, but hit on some big ones. And look, Jordan Love statistically, he was talking about it yesterday, he's playing great. But he's basically got these 3 blemishes on what has been a really, really good 4 games, right? There's the pick that he throws late against Cleveland, which, again, I understand, folks, and I'm not saying they're wrong to say that Matt LaFleur runs the ball there and it's not a factor, but that's not what happened. He threw the ball, it got picked, and he deserves at least some blame for that, which he said yesterday. He had the fumble late in the first half on the sack fumble against the Cowboys. Now, again, what the hell is Matt LaFleur doing being that aggressive? I don't know, but it still happened. And then at the end of the game, again, Matt LaFleur is part of the problem, and so are the other 10 dudes on the field. But Jordan Love is the quarterback. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We got to go. And so he's been phenomenal. But and again, I say this all the time. He was the one who said it yesterday, that they got to be better, and he's got to be better in those moments. And imagine, and this is the reason why I always am trying to calm people down early in seasons when things go poorly. Like, Tausch was on multiple 1-4 teams that came back and made the playoffs. He was also on a 1-4 team that finished 4-12. So I don't
greatest 4-12 team ever, though.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. Really good at right tackle. But like, Matt LaFleur, when he says, I don't want us playing our best football in September. And, me and my snarky thought is, well, congratulations, you're not. But if Jordan Love continues to play at this level and eliminates those mistakes, he is having a monster year. And that can be your identity, right? That they, instead of running to set up the pass, maybe they pass to set up the run. And maybe they get Josh Jacobs going that way. But yeah, I thought their identity was going to be a heavy dose of Josh Jacobs, more play action than they had last year, hit some downfield throws, but more importantly, Jordan getting the ball to his guys in rhythm and them making plays. And that has not happened.
Something you just brought up, which Matt LaFleur has brought up a lot, is a complete 60 minutes, playing complementary football the entire game. Now, that's obviously hard to do in the NFL.
Right. Everybody has trouble with that.
But how important is a full game where you go, okay, that was pure domination? How important is that for this team's moxie? Do you think?
Well, here's the question. I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Fine by me.
When's the last time they had a game like that?
I don't know. Off the top of my head.
Dallas playoff game is the answer.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
I mean, they did not. Did they have one last year?
Again, I'd have to go back and look.
I guess
Saints,
the Saints,
34-0.
but the Saints are terrible. I mean, the Saints. I mean, they were one step above the Ashwaubenon Jaguars.
That's true. Well,
so
maybe
the Jags struggling a little bit, but my point is that even that you didn't. I don't think you came out of that. That was Monday Night Football, right? And they won 34-0.
Yep.
But you kind of came out of that game like, you weren't like, wow, they just throttled those dudes and they're terrible and they did what they were supposed to do and they played a complete game. Like I don't think that was the case. I'm looking through their wins last year.
Maybe Arizona.
Yeah, 34-13. Seattle 30-13. I mean, they won some games now. But like, I don't know, San Francisco when they were missing all those guys.
But they were all beat up, so I don't even know if you want to count that, right?
Right. Like, so my point, and you made the point, and you're right. Like, Vince Lombardi, we're going to chase perfection and catch greatness or whatever. Well, we're going to chase 60 minutes of complimentary. All three sides of the ball are really good, and we're going to catch above mediocrity. Like, I don't know, but they would like if the clock is a pie chart,
mm-hmm.
They would like more of the pie chart to be taken up. It may not be all green, all great play for all 60 minutes, but they'd like that slice of offensive lull and defensive ineptitude to go from like this to more like this.
Yes. You didn't mention a group in your pie chart, which I feel like we should talk about, is special teams. You've talked more about special teams in the last 2 weeks than I imagine you have in a long time in your career. Although they've kind of always been bad. But what's just talk to me about what the hell's going on there, what the conversation around special teams is.
I that is one of my tasks on my to-do list today is figure out how I'm going to ask Rich Bisaccia a question that elicits an expansive, honest answer and doesn't just piss him off. And look, I've pissed him off before. I'm okay with pissing him off. It doesn't bother me. He and I are not drinking buddies. We're not hanging out. I'm not jeopardizing our friendship.
Sure.
I do like him. I think we do have a good relationship. At the same time, like, it's my job to ask a question that gets an answer. Mm-hmm. And it's not, why do you still have a job? Which I think there's a portion of the fan base that want me to ask that. That's not going to get what we want, though. The view's pretty good from the cheap seats, AJ.
Sure.
So, one of the things I've thought about is he made the comment during the offseason that he felt like he let Matt LaFleur down at times last year. I think I might want to play off of that. Like, look, we know what your reputation was when you came here. You've had a lot of success in this league. Now they've changed the way the kickoff works. There's been a lot of things are different. You have a different type of roster, but don't you guys need to be better? And that, so I'm still workshopping that because look, they have the three guys they want in the kicking operation.
Yeah.
But then they don't protect properly to allow the ball to actually surpass the line of scrimmage on two kicks. They have two young, talented guys as returners, but both of them are learning on the fly.
Yeah,
one guy had never returned punts ever in his life. And the other guy, I think I said this to you last week, I thought Savion Williams, because he was being compared at the draft to Cordero Patterson, was like, oh, well, he must have been a great return guy at TCU. The guy returned kickoffs as a freshman and never did it again.
Mm-hmm.
And now both these guys are doing it in the NFL. And then you wonder why he lets the ball bounce before the goal line and then takes these touchbacks that only come out to the 20. 3 times he did that. And you wonder why your prized first-round draft pick catches a punt blindly and then turns and then just gets blasted.
Absolutely lit up. Yeah.
So I don't know how you fix that. I name checked Justice Mosqueda, who did a piece on their website, and he's a really the fact that he's an Oregon fan, notwithstanding, he's a smart guy. He knows football better than I do. I think I know football, but he's really good at that kind of stuff. And he argued, and I think I credit him with this, but I totally agree. This is the drawback to the draft and develop and always have the youngest roster, because you don't have like Eric Wilson and Christian Welch, who neither of whom are on the roster. One plays for the Vikings. One is on the practice squad. They've got Nick Neiman, who's a special teams guy. You've got Zane Anderson, who's a special teams guy. You got Bo Melton. But the really good special teams units have those kind of battle-scarred veterans who they just innately know what they're doing. And they just don't have enough of those guys, I would argue.
No, I would agree with you. Good point by you and Justice. But I have a dumb question, actually, on the punt return.
Is there any other kind on this show?
Few and far between. I think some are relatively educated. This one is dumb, though.
Sure.
So obviously, I've attended training camp practices as a fan, but I've not attended the portions of practices that you have, and obviously you as a beat writer get some more access than us as fans do during training camp. When they're running punt return in practice, it's not full-blown punt return, right? It's not 11 on 11. Are they just practicing the fielding, or are they running a true 11 on 11 on like a punt scenario?
Now, again, in the interest of accuracy, their practices go on during Wilde and Tausch now in the regular season, so I'm not going. But you get kicked out before you see anything important anyway.
Yeah.
You watch them stretch and do some individual drills, and then they're out of there. But during training camp, and I would argue now too, I'm sure that it's not live, but I'm sure it's 11 on 11, and then it's, thud or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure they're running actual punt coverage and punt return. Can't not practice it.
And that's not me saying it seems like Matthew Golden and Savion Williams have never been in that situation before, but it seems like they.
Yeah,
when Golden spins and gets lit up the way he did, it just seems like, okay, that needs to be coached out of him.
Well, it's just different. Like, you could practice all you want, right? And then in the games, you know that in a practice you are not getting hit like that.
Correct.
And now you know that in the game you can be. Yeah. So, tomato.
I did say it was a dumb question in my defense.
Yeah, I don't think it was a dumb question. I mean, the yes or no construct on Green Bay game day is a dumb construct. But again, we make it productive.
Maybe.
No, we do. It's way better than answering, because if that stupid idea was actually followed to the letter of the law, you're asking a yes or no question, and by the letter of the law, that's all you should get. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. Instead, we put our own twist on it. Kind of like this program.
Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. All right, last thing for you, Jason. I know some people are not the biggest fan of get right game, the term get right game. I am. This seems like the right opportunity for the Packers to get right off the bye week.
Yeah, I would say, and I don't know what Matt LaFleur's approach is, but it's not about them, it's about us. We got to play the way we play, and we haven't done that in a couple weeks. So whether that's getting right with ourselves or getting right with the record, I don't know about any of that. I don't like get right games. I don't like trap games, wounded animal games. I mean, just go play the damn game and execute. I still, Josh Jacobs made a comment about how the warm-ups, I don't know if it was in Cleveland or Dallas, but they were kind of lifeless. Must have been Cleveland, because Steno talked about it before the Dallas game. I don't know. I mean, look, I really like Josh Jacobs, and I love talking to him. Like he really tries to help us. Like he's won the Mully Award, and he'll probably win it again. But I still think that stuff comes down to execution. Like you're flat because you didn't execute.
Ultimately,
like, were the Packers flat at any point in a 40-40 tie? No, but their defense sure as hell didn't execute. So,
correct. All right. Well, we will see. 3:25 kickoff. Bengals Packers on Sunday at Lambeau Field. The Jason Wilde hour of Green Bay Game Day is 1:00 Central on ESPN Wisconsin 620.
Good to know.
WTMJ. Myself, Gabe Neitzel, Jason Wilde, Steve Scafidi off meandering in Italy as he celebrates his birthday out there. So just the three of us back to the OG State of the Packers squad on Sunday. You can read Jason at channel3000.com. Thanks, Jason.
All right, I got to go. Bye.